Good evening and welcome to Prime Time News here on TV1. For the News First team, I am Disal Kapuki.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. We start off by taking a look at your headlines for tonight.
No information on threats to national security from foreign intelligence agencies. State Minister of Defence informs Parliament.
මේ රටේ විවිධ ජාතීන් ආගම් අතර ලොකු ගැටණයක් ඇති වෙලා මේ රටේ තවත් කලහකාරී තත්ත්වයක් තවත් පිපිරීම් තත්ත්වයක් පිළිබඳව මාධ්‍යවල වාර්තා වෙනවා.
අපිට කිසිම විදේශ බුද්ධි අංශයකින් ආයතනයකින් රටේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් සහ ජාතිවාද කෝලහල සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපිට කිසිම තොරතුරක් මේ වෙනකොට ලැබිලා නැහැ.
Trade union action by railway technicians delayed trains again, and patients left helpless due to paramedics going on strike. Central bank to intervene to reduce loan interest rates. Wagner boss on board jet that crashed in Russia and reported dead.
In your top story tonight, Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Thursday, in a letter to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, congratulated India on the Chandrayaan-3 successful soft landing on the lunar South Pole.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe upheld that Sri Lanka, having India as the closest neighbour, sharing a robust, timeless relationship, and with both countries being members of the South Asian family, and observed that it is with immense pride that the nation is celebrating this historic and momentous achievement. President Wickremesinghe underscored the global significance of Prime Minister Modi's magnanimous gesture of dedicating this success to all of humanity, which he noted would inspire generations to pursue the advancement of scientific and technological progress. Chandrayaan-3's successful soft landing on the lunar South Pole was also discussed in the Sri Lankan Parliament on Thursday.
Honourable Speaker, Chandrayaan-3 is the third Indian lunar exploration mission under the Indian Space Research Organisation Chandrayaan program. It consists of a lander named Vikram and a rover named Pragyan, making India the first country to successfully land a spacecraft near the lunar South Pole and the fourth country to soft land on the moon. As a member country of the SAARC region and as a South Asian country, we are all proud of this magnificent achievement by India, and let's all of us congratulate them on this massive achievement.
Billions of rupees were spent on this lunar mission. Yet, there is no unwarranted culture among the Indian youth to destabilize that process by pointing out the number of sanitary facilities required and the number of poor. We are proud of that. They have stood under one national flag as one nation. They have not used shortcomings to ruin society. There is a lot our youth can learn from India. I congratulate India for becoming the fourth country to soft land on the moon.
Chandrayaan-1, Chandrayaan-2.
India achieved this success following 3 space missions named Chandrayaan-1, Chandrayaan-2 and Chandrayaan-3 in 2008, 2019 and 2023. All 3 space missions cost India approximately $263 million. However, in 2012, Sri Lanka spent $320 million on Supreme Sat. I would like the Speaker to call for a report on what happened to the $320 million spent on Supreme Sat. I was the Minister of Science and Technology from 2015 to 2018 and I served in the same cabinet as you. At the time, I was not aware of Supreme Sat, but India has gone beyond the India 2020 vision. That is the vision we need.
Sri Lanka's opposition leader Sajid Premadasa has called for immediate attention on recent reports on national security. Several other MPs also commented on the matter.
පහුගිය දිනවල ජාත්‍යන්තර සහ දේශීය මාධ්‍යවල විවිධ බුද්ධ්‍යංශ ප්‍රකාශ කරයි කියලා. මේ රටේ
In recent days, foreign and local media quoted several intelligence agencies as saying there are tensions between races and religions in Sri Lanka and that there is unrest or another conflict. This is a serious matter that affects national security. We request that the government convene all parties and determine if there is any truth to these reports. We all know the confusing situation that arose regarding security following the Easter attacks.
ආරක්ෂක ව්‍යාකූලක්
I am requesting the government and parliament to direct attention towards this sensitive matter and inform all political parties in this regard.
මේ වැදගත් ප්‍රශ්නය පිළිබඳව සියලුම දේශපාලන පාර්ශව දැනුවත් කරන්නට මේ සභාව දැනුවත් කරන්නට කටයුතු කරන්න ඉල්ලනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ලංකාව තුල හින්දු බෞද්ධ
An article published on the island reports the possibility of a Hindu-Buddhist conflict. This was reported 2 days ago. These are things that happen when an election draws closer. A minister said that 25 IS members are in the country. Lands in the north and east are given to China. When the lands in Colombo were given for the port city, these patriots were silent. From where did they emerge now? There appears to be a race within that group to secure votes. We suspect that they are trying to create an environment required for an election by creating racial tensions. This news confirms the attempts being made by those in power and those trying to come to power.
බලයට එන්න කණ්ඩායම් දරන උත්සාහයක් තමයි මේ නිවුස් එක හඳහා සනාථ වෙන්නේ.
ගජේන්ද්‍රන් පොන්නම්බල මන්ත්‍රීතුමා එතුමා ප්‍රතිසංස්ථාන ආරක්ෂක සභාවට එන්න තියෙනවා මොකද 10ට මම එන්නවා එතුමා කිව්වා එතුමාට එන්න බෑ මොකද හෙට එතුමාගේ ගේ වටල
Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam was told to attend the Committee on Reconciliation. When I told him to be there, he said he could not because there is an attempt to surround his residence tomorrow in Colombo. This is a serious issue. Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam is a member of this house. His mother is seriously ill. Therefore, this matter must be raised with the security forces. We cannot allow for the residence of members to be surrounded. Therefore, I request the government to provide necessary security to the MP's residence.
අවශ්‍ය කරන ආරක්ෂාව වහාම ආණ්ඩු සපයන්නේ කියලා මම මේ වෙලාවේ කරනවා.
මේ පිළිබඳ කතානායකතුමාට දැනුම් දෙන්න.
අපිට කිසිම විදේශ බුද්ධි අංශයකින් ආයතනයකින්
We have not received any information from any overseas intelligence service with regard to the country's national security or racial tensions. I state this with responsibility. The government cannot keep responding to various rumors and comments posted on Facebook over such matters. Therefore, I will keep the parliament informed. Our intelligence services have observed that certain groups in certain areas with political backing are attempting to incite racial tensions. The government and the security forces are focusing on these groups. A person listed from Puthukudi Rippu Mullathив named Anthony Jagannathan Peter Illanchelian is showing keen interest in the Kurundi Vihara. He is a Catholic, and what is his interest in this issue? That concerns us. It is clear to us that he is trying to create an issue. Even after 30 years of conflict, we have not learned any lesson. There are groups on either side. We are disappointed over these attempts that are being made to create racial issues. Security forces and Sri Lanka police will never allow such a situation to arise in the country, and I state that with responsibility.
ඊටාම වගකීමෙන් ඊටාම ඕනෑකමින් මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න ඕනේ.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that Trincomalee will be made an economic hub with the support of the Indian government. He made this statement while attending the District Development Committee meeting in Trincomalee today.
The Trincomalee District Development Committee was chaired by President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Thursday.
A plan has been made by the Subana Jurong Company regarding the Trincomalee district. Based on that plan, we have reached the Trincomalee Development Agreement between India and Sri Lanka. We have to now implement this. Secondly, a program is being formulated with Subana Jurong to develop the coastal stretch extending from Velaguru to Kumanapanama. This will allow for more tourism-related businesses to open up along the coast. We want to develop modern agriculture in this area. If the Trincomalee harbour is developing, we have to gather the areas in the northern province and areas in the north central province and implement the agriculture modernization program. We need the Mahaweli Authority and the Department of Lands. Anticipating an evolution in Trincomalee's fishing, agriculture and tourism sectors, the strategic goal is to elevate Trincomalee to a prominent commercial centre. Subsequent to this, the trajectory of development is envisaged to extend to Batiklo and Ampara. We can also bring down IT businesses to the country. We have to first resolve these issues surrounding land and development. We must decide on how to develop these lands. The resolution of land-related issues, particularly concerning Mahaweli designated land, is pivotal for the advancement of these endeavours. We are to discuss the development of the Mahaweli and the Trincomalee district. I want to know what happened to the land between 2019 and 2023. We know that nothing happened to them in 2020, 2021 and 2022. By 2023, if 20,000 hectares are used, it is confusing. Land is being robbed here. This will be the same as the Mahaweli in terms of size. This will be added to the Mahaweli Authority. This will be the centre for the development of the Rajarata and the eastern province that will extend to Anuradhapura and Vaunia, and it would extend towards Panama. We want to use all this land for development.
රටයි නැගෙනහිරයි සම්පූර්ණ දියුණුව මුලතිගු වෙන්නේ. ඒකයි අයි ඉතින් කොහොමද අනුරාධපුරේ වෙනකම් මේ පැත්ත වවුනියා වෙනකම් මෙහෙන් යන්න තියෙනවා පානම පැත්තට. එකක් අපිට උවමනයි තියෙන ඉඩම් ඔක්කොම සංවර්ධනයට යොදවන්න.
Sri Lanka Railways announced that trains operating from Fort Colombo are likely to be delayed on Thursday the 24th evening due to a trade union action by the railway electrical technicians.
Recently, a brawl had broken out between a railway electrical technician and a deputy railway controller. Sri Lanka police said that the railway electrical technician involved in the brawl was later arrested.
We request the officials of the railway department and those responsible to the nation not to be biased against one party in this matter. Do not be unjust. You know that these railway controllers inconvenience the people and go on strike even for the smallest thing. They did something similar to that. They flex their power to the detriment of the other party.
Railway electrical technicians launched their trade union action on Wednesday evening in protest of the arrest of the technician connected to the incident. Commuters who usually travel on trains were seriously inconvenienced.
Meanwhile, activities across state hospitals were crippled as a result of the trade union action launched by paramedic services. The strike is on until 8 a.m. on Friday the 25th and is taking place citing 7 individual demands.
Trade unions attached to 5 professions supplementary to medicine, including radiologists, laboratory technicians and pharmacists, are engaged in a strike that was launched at 8 a.m. on Thursday. They launched the strike citing 7 demands, including approval of the recruitment process and suspending the crackdown on trade union leaders. Patients who travel long distances to obtain services from the Colombo National Hospital were turned back due to the strike as they were unable to obtain medicine or undergo certain tests.
බේත් ගන්න එන්නලු හෙට රැයට ප්‍රවෘත්ති බලන්නලු බලලා හෙට නැත්නම් සවුදා එන්නලු පැල 4000ක් වියදම් කරගෙන ආවේ ටීවී එකට.
Multiple activities at the Mathura District General Hospital did not function.
The minister is aware that a florist is located opposite every hospital. Therefore, the shortage of doctors and medicine doesn't bother him. There are florists to address the issue.
Laboratory services at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital were crippled by the strike. Patients who travelled long distances to obtain services from the Kandy General Hospital were also turned back. I have been here since morning, but they're not issuing medicine. What am I to do? I cannot afford to purchase from the pharmacy. Services at the Badula Teaching Hospital were crippled by the strike. The strike by the profession supplementary to medicine also affected the activities at the Panadura Base Hospital and the Kalutara Teaching Hospital. Although the strike was in effect at the Hinguragoda Base Hospital in Polonaruwa, medicines were issued to the patients who attended the clinics. Activities at the Karapite Teaching Hospital were also crippled due to the strike action. A similar situation was experienced at the Chilao General Hospital.
All the counters are closed. I spent over 29,000 rupees for medicine per month.
Joint Council for Professionals of Supplementary Medicine met with the Health Secretary to discuss their issues. As per an agreement that was reached, the strike will be called off at 8 a.m. on Friday.
We are cautious over the decisions taken by the Health Secretary. He agreed that there would be no suppression. However, there were some recommendations sent to the public administration and management departments that he was unaware of. This is a confusing situation.
The GCE ordinary level paper marking examiners protested during the lunch hour on Thursday the 24th against the slashing of allowances.
GCE ordinary level paper marking examiners claim that the daily transport allowance of 2,000 rupees was slashed to 1,450 rupees. Paper marking examiners at 2 centres in Anuradhapura protested on Thursday afternoon opposite the Swarnapali Balika Mahavidyalaya.
This is wrong. We only protested during Lanka. We have not boycotted the paper marking. Furthermore, we are against a change in allowances.
Paper marking examiners from the centre located at the Sangabodhi Central College, Nitambua, also protested on Thursday.
None of the assistant examiners have been given a letter of appointment. The appointment letter contains details of the payments. There is no mention of it this time. We believe that they are trying to engage in malpractice through this.
Paper marking examiners from the centre at Asoka Vidyalaya Maradana also protested.
We have paper marking examiners all the way from Polonnaruwa. They sleep on the tables here and wake up the next day to evaluate the answer scripts. The slashing of allowances does not serve any justice to them.
The protest also took place opposite the Gampaha railway station.
We have not reached a decision to go on strike. The second stage will commence soon. The cabinet must decide and announce the stance of the government on this matter, even before the end of the first phase. If not, during the second stage, we will have to take action.
Assistant Commissioner of Examinations Lasika Samarakon said that a proposal to increase the allowance paid to examiners who mark the GCE ordinary level examination answer scripts to 2,000 rupees was submitted to the cabinet. The Assistant Commissioner added that 1,300 rupees was paid as travel allowance to examiners last year, and it was proposed to increase that amount to 1,450 rupees this year.
Sri Lankans from 18 districts have been affected by arid weather conditions. The Disaster Management Centre said that 280,230 people in 81,158 families are suffering due to the dry spell.
Arid weather conditions have severely affected the Ratnapura, Trincomalee, Batiklo, Ampara, Kurunagala, Jaffna, Matale, Monaragala and Hambantara districts. The Kajuwatta village in Aralaganvila, Dimbulagala, is facing a serious issue in sourcing drinking water. The livelihood of the village, where about 2,000 families live, is farming and dairy farming.
නෑ හදලා තිනවා කවුපි හදලා තිනවා මම අර දින්දෙන් වතුර ගගා තමයි මේවා හැදුවේ ලිඳත් අඩියටම හිඳිලා තියෙන්නේ සතියක් දෙයක් පෑවුවොත් මේවා ආයේ මේ වැඩක් නෑ මහත්තයා වෙහෙරගල තමයි.
Our only source of water is in Veheragala. We have to walk about 2 kilometers for it. We have no choice but to walk all the way there and get our water and come back.
The people living around the Samurdhi River in Gothamigama, Kataragama have been severely affected by the dry spell. Most of those living here depend on the sale of goods for religious rituals.
We sell flowers, but now we close the shops because there are no flowers to sell. We are struggling to make ends meet.
Farmers from Pathalagam in Hambantara lament that they did not receive the water that was released to the Walawal left bank from the Kiri Banbaver. These farmers are currently harvesting their paddy fields that were severely affected by the shortage of water.
We were holding back without water until yesterday. We cannot destroy these crops that are considered sacred. There are elephants in these forests. We live in huts built on those trees. These are the 30 bags of paddy that were collected from 2.5 acres of paddy fields. When we pay the rent of the machines, we can only give our children porridge. We are harvesting this entire field. This is all the paddy we have got. We have suffered for about 3.5 months. When we pay for these machines, there is no money left for us. We wouldn't need to beg the government for any compensation if they gave us some water. We haven't begged for so long either. Although water was released from the Samanala River to Udavalave, we have not seen a single drop of water. They are not going to provide any compensation to us because we had harvested our fields. There is no point in just allowing our paddy fields to rot.
News first with the people.
Ladies College presents a musical phenomenon, SOSL Pops, a performance by the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka, conducted by Nishanta Varnakulasuriya, September 2nd and 3rd at the Ladies College Hall, featuring the Ladies College Senior and OGA choirs, with guest soloists Crisanta De Silva, Dinushka Jayavikrama and Melanie Bibile. Tickets available in the school hall foyer. Media sponsor Yes 101, Legends 966 and TV1.
Welcome back to the news. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has reached a decision to maintain policy interest rates at their current levels. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe told reporters on Thursday the 24th that a circular will be issued to banks on Friday the 25th to reduce market interest rates.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka decided to maintain the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate of the central bank at their current levels of 11% and 12% respectively. The central bank has eased its monetary policy stance considerably since early June 2023 by reducing its key policy interest rates. However, considering the presence of excessive interest rates on certain lending products and the inadequate downward adjustment in market lending interest rates relative to that of deposits, the board was of the view that the downward rigidity in lending interest rates of certain financial institutions needs to be addressed through administrative measures. Accordingly, the board decided to impose caps on interest rates on pawning facilities at 18% per annum, on pre-arranged temporary overdrafts at 23% per annum, and on credit cards at 28% per annum for all licensed banks.
We observed a downward adjustment in market lending interest rates. However, it was not sufficient. Considering the presence of excessive interest rates on certain lending products and the inadequate downward adjustment in market lending interest rates relative to that of deposits, the board was of the view that the downward rigidity in lending interest rates of certain financial institutions needs to be addressed through administrative measures. The relevant circular will be issued on Friday.
With the IMF also coming in a few weeks' time, what is the status of the domestic debt restructuring, and also can these conditions be met in such a short time?
In terms of commitment to the IMF under the Extended Fund Facility, here the commitment is that, if you can remember last time when we reached the staff level agreements, and then we completed the first review completion in March, 20th of March, the first April. Even in February, there were certain commitments to be implemented and delivered. So we have a timeline, obviously, but this timeline is basic commitment is to complete all the reforms, implement and meet targets before the completion of April of the Executive Board, the first review, which the September there is a mission coming here to assess the situation. That's not the deadline. It is like prior action for the next review. So I think government has made good progress in terms of quantitative targets, except for revenue targets. All targets have been met, including inflation, reserves, all have been met quantitative basis. Then structural reform, there are certain reforms, for example, Central Bank Act.
Within the limitations that you can reveal, can you sort of give an update on the debt restructuring front, especially with the impending IMF review in September?
There is still the commitment and the plan is as there's a little delay of the DDO completion because of the Supreme Court cases delay in passing certain legislation in Parliament. But even without some delays, I'm sure that we are in the process of completion of DDO. And the external front, there has been negotiation and discussion going on with Paris Club and commercial creditors. Those are continuing. I think important part is that external creditors are looking at the completion of the DDO. After that, I think we are making good progress.
Parliamentarian Tushar Indunil pointed out in Parliament that a massive scam is ongoing where invoices on fuel purchases are being altered. The parliamentarian questioned the Ministry of Power and Energy regarding this matter in Parliament today.
As per the order issued on the 22nd of the 8th month 2022, two investigating managers from Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and CPSTL have been appointed to investigate into if multiple invoices bearing the same invoice number were printed via the System Application Product or SAP, and if fuel was being misused by these acts. Through the report submitted by these two officials to the management on the 9th of the 11th month 2022, they had reported that there was a suspicion on if data on the SAP system had been erased, and they had recommended to conduct a stock and financial audit. On the 23rd of the 6th month 2023, based on the approval of the Board of Directors of CPSTL, an internationally recognized audit firm, KPMG, was retained to conduct a forensic audit. The forensic audit is currently ongoing.
The Board of Investigators themselves are complaining that the information regarding this forensic audit is not being provided to them. According to what we know, the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has sent an email to the Information Division asking them to change certain dates. He had sent that mail to an individual named Dilip Dias. But do you know that recently that this official Dilip Dias, who has been accused of this, has been promoted to a position in the A1 grade? And Sakuntala Ekanayaka, who was the manager of the Information Division, has been given a promotion by this institution that is under the purview of your ministry. These are the officials who have been accused. Varuna Gunasekara, the manager of sales and distribution, has also been accused of malpractice. Varuna Gunasekara has now resigned and is missing. He is not producing the information.
If you have a better knowledge on conducting forensic audits, you too should have applied for it. The decision on who is going to be investigated will depend on the report. At this point of time, I can responsibly state that if there are any officials who are being investigated, these officials have not been given any promotions or salary increments.
The adjournment debate on Sri Lanka cricket took place in Parliament on Thursday the 24th as per a motion moved by SJB MP Hesha Vithanagi.
14 members of the Sri Lanka Cricket Executive Committee spent 67,693 million rupees to watch the World Cup. Such a massive amount was spent on 14 people for their 10-day stay in Australia. If they have no shame in using the funds of the SLC for their personal benefit, they do not love cricket in this country and have no intention of even developing the sport. These expenses make it clear that instead of solving the issues of the national cricket team, they are more interested in achieving their personal goals.
ජාතික ක්‍රිකට් කණ්ඩායමේ ප්‍රශ්න ටිකට උත්තර හොයන්න නැතුව ක්‍රිකට් ආයතනය මේ මොහොත වෙනකොට තමන්ගේ ඒ අවශ්‍යතාව ටික සපුරව ගන්නවා කියන එක ඉතාම පැහැදිලි මේ වියදම් කිරීම හරහා. ක්‍රිකට් බෝඩ් එක හම්බ කරන
We often speak about the funds raised by Sri Lanka Cricket. We can take those funds to the ministry at any given time. In recent times, 220 million rupees was given to the sports fund and the Apeksha Hospital. When I was the sports minister, Paralympian medalists were given 1 million rupees each from the SLC. Funds were also given to the netball team. We need to speak of that as well. If there is an issue, a complaint can be filed calling for an investigation. If they are guilty, punish them.
We cannot be happy with what has happened to cricket in the country. Everyone accepts that the sport has fallen. There are allegations over players' discipline as well. If the administration is acting in such a manner, what would happen to those children? Sri Lanka Cricket is responsible for the fate of the sport in the country today.
There's a person who was never named. We gave the strength required for cricket at that time. That is the late Mr. R. Rajamahendran, the late owner of Sirasa and Capital Maharaja Group. He did not support cricket to earn money. He never used the money belonging to cricket for his needs. Furthermore, he spent every cent he had for cricket. He even sponsored the players and financially supported them.
The main reason for this sport to be marred with corruption is the paper clubs. There are those within the government who want to create issues between the president and myself. I must speak the truth. Some desire the post of sports minister because the clubs have unlimited funds. This is the reality. As sports minister, I dislike interference. If I am wrong, anyone can point it out. I respect independence, and that should apply to all clubs.
This
is not a completed audit report. This is a half-baked report. SLC must respond to this. The report was taken to the Ministry Secretary who released it. That is why we have this debate. We should not follow the wrong procedures. COPE needs the full report, but we are not speaking of a half-baked report. This is not fair for SLC as well. How did the confidential document leak from the hands of the Secretary? When I was appointed, there was an interim committee and the SLC had no funds. It operated on credit at that time and today earned $50 million.
In more local news, Most Venerable Navagamue Vijaya Maitri Thera, the Anunayaka of the Ramanna Mahanikaya, has passed away at the age of 73.
Most Venerable Nadagamue Vijaya Maitri Thero, the Anunayaka of the Ramanna Mahanikaya, passed away while being treated for an illness at the Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital. The late Most Venerable Thero was ordained in 1963 and served as an administrative member of the Bhikkhu University of Sri Lanka in Anuradhapura, as well as the head of the Pattanuvana Bhikkhu Dharmayatanaya. He was also an advisor to the Ministry of Education. The late Most Venerable Thero also held a number of top positions, including those in the Sambuddha Jayantiya Committee, and rendered a great service to the Sambuddha Sasana. The funeral arrangements will be decided on Thursday the 24th evening.
The Dutch State Secretary is expected to visit Sri Lanka to sign ownership transfer of cultural artifacts.
A Dutch cultural delegation led by Gune Ursler, State Secretary for Culture and Media in the Netherlands, will be visiting Sri Lanka from the 27th to the 31st of August. The State Secretary is making a special visit to Sri Lanka to sign the legal document transferring the ownership of the cultural artifacts that will be returned to Sri Lanka later this year. The objects include the famous Laukes cannon, 2 gold kastanes, Sinhalese knife, silver kastane and 2 guns. The visiting State Secretary is expected to meet with the senior officials of the Sri Lankan government to mark this historic moment. Legal transfer of ownership will be signed at the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs of Sri Lanka on the 28th of August 2023.
Sri Lankan Airlines said that UL 195 emergency landing reports are false.
Sri Lankan Airlines said that news reports of flight UL 195 from Colombo to Delhi making an emergency landing at the Indira Gandhi International Airport on Wednesday are false and that no emergency was declared for UL 195. The national carrier said that the flight did, however, encounter a minor issue with one of its 3 hydraulic systems. It added that the loss of full functionality of just one hydraulic system neither affects the performance nor calls for an emergency landing of the aircraft. Sri Lankan Airlines said that as a routine precaution, the operating crew requested use of the longer runway for landing in Delhi. The landing was executed safely and without incident, and the aircraft taxied to the parking stand for line maintenance work. All passengers on board the flight exited the aircraft safely and ahead of the scheduled time of arrival without any interruption to their journey. Sri Lankan Airlines said that it always puts the safety of its passengers and employees first, and it is in this spirit that the airline's pilots of UL 195 took prompt action following procedures on landing to ensure the safety of the people on board the flight.
A souvenir shop was declared open at the University of Colombo on Thursday the 24th.
Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo and other representatives were present at the opening. Visitors will be given access to purchase items via their online store as well.
The chairman of the Airport and Aviation Service Limited said that the BIA had recorded 98,000 passengers in August so far. He was speaking at the Annual Academic Awards 2023 of the Asian Aviation Centre, which took place at the BMICH premises on Wednesday.
In Sri Lanka, we have 5 international airports. All these airports are coming under the purview of the Airport and Aviation Sri Lanka Limited. Today in the morning, we have introduced for the aviation industry the digital communication system in Sri Lanka. For the first time after 18 years, we changed the entire digital communication system to do the ground communication from ground to air by using a relay system. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, today our Bandaranaike International Airport, we are getting 24,000 passengers per day. More than 12,000 passengers are departing daily from Bandaranaike International Airport, Katmai. And also we get about 7,000 passengers are coming, around 3,500 passengers on transit. When you get everything together, we find about 23,000 passengers using this airport at the moment. For the first time in Banana International Airport and other airports, we are getting for this year, this month, 98,000 tourists. So you see there are a lot of airlines coming in. The airlines which I stopped earlier, they are coming back. In Sri Lankan Airlines, there's a dearth of pilots today. You all will be an asset to our country when we start working for the nation. That may be within the next 3 or 4 years, we'll have a nice, beautiful, state-of-the-art airport in Sri Lanka. There's this particular organization called ICAO. Recently, they did an audit. They did a total of how our international airports are running. And we got 92.7 marks, the best in South Asia.
Divisavya, the second leg of the Divisavya program to provide much needed school books and stationery items to school children in Sri Lanka. 25th of August, Mahaba and Nikavalatia.
Dai Daruwange Anagate Winuwin Divisavya, LOLC Prajasatkara Mehevara.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv was not involved in the reported death of Russian mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Russian authorities have been carrying out investigations near the site where the private jet belonging to Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin crashed. But there have been no confirmations yet on whether his body has been found. Russian authorities said that the Russian mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin was listed as a passenger on a private jet that crashed north of Moscow, killing all 10 passengers. It remains to be confirmed if the Wagner chief had actually boarded the flight. Paris said on Thursday that there were reasonable doubts about the circumstances surrounding the plane crash that is reported to have killed Prigozhin. While international reactions to the reported death of Wagner boss was swift, Russia's president has yet to comment. Putin was attending a publicly televised concert in honor of the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Kursk around the time that Prigozhin's plane was reported to have crashed on Wednesday evening. A makeshift memorial has been set up near the former headquarters of the Wagner mercenary force in the Russian city of St. Petersburg following the reported death of Prigozhin in a plane crash.
Japan has started releasing treated radioactive water from Fukushima nuclear power plant, prompting China to announce a ban on all aquatic products from Japan.
The seawater transfer pumps began the release into the Pacific Ocean shortly after 1 p.m. local time, with plant operator Tokyo Electric Power Company announcing earlier that weather and sea conditions were suitable. More than 1 million metric tons of the treated water used to cool the wrecked reactors after the 2011 tsunami is stored in some 1,000 tanks around the site, and its removal is a key part of decommissioning the still highly dangerous facility.
World's #1 Norway's Magnus Carlsen clinched a historic win against India's R. Pragnanda at the Chess World Cup 2023 final.
Seconds left to the first move, and
India's R. Pragnananda fell to an agonizing defeat against world #1 Magnus Carlsen in the FIDE World Cup final at Baku on Thursday. Magnus prevailed against Pragnananda in a thrilling tie-break and added one more prestigious trophy to his collection. Former World Championship challenger Fabiano Caruana beats Abbasov to finish third in the Chess World Cup.
Just taking down the match like this. And congratulations. Well, I think it was also.
You take the first bit.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Thank you for watching. For all these stories and much more, you can visit our website, that is www.newsfirst.ok. For the News First team, I'm Naveksha Gunasekara.
I'm Dasal Kapuge, and thank you for watching. Stay safe, take care, and have a good night.